in the entry of Galut. Galut means exile. The sages tell us in Pirkei Avot, Perek Daled, Mishnah Yudalet, Havi golel makom Torah. You should exile yourself to a place of Torah. Where should you live? A person is going to move. A person is choosing what community to be part of. You should live in a place where there is Torah. Yes, the sages tell us a person should live in the place of his forefathers. It's very difficult for a person to leave his hometown. He's very attached to where he grew up. But if, let's say, a person has to move, sometimes a person is not successful where he is, sometimes something happens, he has to move. He says you should still go to where? When you do move, you should go and live in a place of Torah. Why? Why is living in a place of Torah so important? He says, Shemuftach lo shebanav tamidei chachamim. In order to give the best chance for success for your children. So if you live a place where they're only into gashmiut, only into physicality, so your son grows up, he's 9, 10 years old, he's asking people, hey mister, what car do you drive? Do you have a Mercedes-Benz? Do you have a Tesla? Do you have a Rolls-Royce? He says, look, Abba, look, you see that car? That car is an Alfa Romeo. Wow, you see that? He grows up thinking what's cool and what's important is the nice cars. He goes to shul, he grabs everybody's wrist. What watch are you wearing? What is this watch? How much does it cost? It interests him just gashmiut. Why? Because that's where he grew up and that's where the kids talk about and that's where he hears all day. So therefore you can't blame him when he gets all this influence in the people around him. That's why he says, the Pele Yoetz, he should try to live in a place of Torah or be around people who machshiv Torah, who give importance to Torah. That way, the sages know this and they said, show me who your friends are, I'll know who you are. Based on what a person hears all day and what he's surrounded with, that's what he's going to end up being. So therefore you're in a place of Torah, you're automatically going to be affected and also be a person of Torah. He says, that way you'll be very knowledgeable in Torah, you'll follow Torah's way. The Pirkei Avot says in Perek Vav, Mishnah Tet, Yosef ben Kisma, he met that ugly man, and he said, where are you from? And they go and they had a conversation, and then he said to him, Rabbi, I'll pay you any whatever your price is, come live with us, come live in our community, be our rabbi, I'll give you a beautiful contract. He says to him, even if you give me all the money in the world, all the silver, all the gold, I'm only going to live in a place of Torah. You have Torah over there? Good, I stay there. There's no yeshiva there, there's no Torah learning there, I'm not there, I don't belong there. Because if I learn one good thing from the people that I live around in the place of Torah, it will be enough, it will be worth it to live over there. So therefore, now that a person lives wherever he lives, he has to make sure that if you can't leave the place of Torah, you should go and make the place where you live into a place of Torah. You have to make sure there's yeshiva for your kids. You have to make sure that there's a Torah learning in your shul. You have to make sure there's learning in the morning, learning in the evening. You have to make sure there's a group of people learning Torah. You have to make sure that there is a ruach, there's a spirit of Torah, and there's a group of people who are trying to yearn and trying to grow and trying to become better in Torah. And this is the environment for you and your children that will be healthy, so that way you stay on the path. Because if you have a lot of people, if you're the only guy who wants to learn, you're the only guy who wants to be religious, you're the only guy who wants to grow, and everybody else is just talking about gashmiut all day, physicality, and everybody only interests them about making money, so it's going to be very hard to last, and for sure your kids is going to be very hard to last. So therefore a person has to do it, even if you're not doing it for yourself, do it for your kids, that you make sure where you live is a place of Torah. He says, therefore, he says, the person should not be concerned with the price or with the effort it's going to take, because the highest crown out of the 3 crowns, there's 3 crowns, which is the Keter Kehuna, the crown of Kohanim, the crown of Melucha, of kingdom, of kingship, King David, and then there's the crown of Torah. We know the crown of Torah is higher than all those, and any person can access crown of Torah. Only Kohanim or only the people from King David's family can get crown of Torah, crown of kingship and crown of Kehuna. However, crown of Torah, anybody can get. So therefore, we have to remember the pasuk says in Sefer Dvarim, "Lo b'shamayim hi." The Torah is not in the sky. There's no such thing. Oh, Rabbi, well, we're going to get to a level we're going to learn every day shiur Torah in the morning, in the evening. We're going to build yeshivot. There's no yeshivot. This is the way it is. This is how our community is. No, we have to be visionaries. We have to motivate ourselves. We have to push ourselves, push our friends, push our community. We need more schools, Rabotai. Build more schools. We need in the community funeral homes. We should build funeral homes. We need in the community more places to teach Torah, more rabbis. Let's go bring more rabbis. Whatever it is, a person has to make an effort to try to make that happen and make his community a Makom Torah.